Hello ladies and gentlemen and welcome to Unit Lost. I am Stylosa and in this video I'm going to show you how to attack. Now in the previous video that I made in this sort of like little mini guide series where I showed you how to defend on every hybrid, payload, well actually payload's called Escort, and assault map, I'm going to show you how to attack on these maps. One thing I do want to say though before we get into this, a lot of these attacks will center around using Lucio to speed boost in. I'm going to use Reinhardt as well just to show you where to push from. But you don't want to hesitate. This is what you really don't want to do. There are two different styles of attack. The first style of attack is you move in and you try and get a pick. This means you try and kill the enemy, take one of them out, and then you move into the point. The other style of attack is you try and move in really quick to disrupt the enemy defensive position. Now what I'm going to show you is the position you want to attack on a Temple of Anubis on the first point. So you want to move around to the left hand side. The reason why you want to do this and not move to the right is because if I came to the right hand side here, as we move up these steps here, you're going to take a ton of fire from the defenders standing in that location over there, because they will be there. So if you're using Reinhardt, your shield's going to get destroyed or take a lot of damage. Maybe people are going to take damage themselves. That's not good. So if you approach from the left-hand side, if I go to the actual left-hand side, if you approach from the left-hand side, what you want to do is immediately deploy your shield if you are playing Reinhardt. Now, you don't always need to play Reinhardt. I'm just using him in this video because it makes sense to sort of show you where to push from. You move to this position here. You'll notice that to the left of me, our teammates can actually run into the left. You'll wait a second, you'll absorb damage, then you'll move into the left. This is the left-hand side push. You want to move through this area really quick. You want to get up into this area, and then you want to carry on pushing through like this. You do not want to get stalled. Never hesitate, never stop. If you stand in that room there, the defenders will destroy you. The other place you can attack from, well actually there's two other directions you can attack from on Temple of Anubis on the first point. The other one is you go straight for the point. So imagine the defenders are up there in this position. They probably will be, or at least some of them will be there. You want to move quick. You want to move really quick through this point. As you get here, you want to be looking to deploy your shield. You want to be moving onto the point. This is going to force them to come down and engage you. This is what you always want to do when you're on the attack. You want to force the enemy to come and attack you. You want to disrupt their defensive position. You don't want to walk in straight into their defense because that's what they want you to do, and it's going to be much easier for them. Of course, the other position you can attack from is to the right. So if you're coming from this position here, or maybe you come from the right, because you want to push quick right, then you're going to move into this position here. You're going to do the same thing again. If you're Reinhardt, protect your team, let them move in. Then you're going to move into this position, and then you're going to go up here. Now, what I wouldn't do is go through this door, because going through this door here, if there's defenders over there, it could cause you a little bit of a problem. Sometimes you can do it, sometimes you can't. You just have to see what is going on during the game. This is why a lot of defense and attack tactics do kind of change. They're not set in stone. It's not just do this and you will always win, because you don't know what the enemy is going to do, and you don't know what heroes they're going to use. Now, if you get to this high ground position as your team, this is actually really strong. You can stand here as Reinhardt. Your team can do damage on defenders that are standing over there, and do damage onto the point, and of course, you can drop down and capture the objective. We're not going to capture the objective though. What we're going to do is rush forward quickly to show you the final attack, or what you want to be doing on the final point on Temple of Anubis. If you have just taken the first point, you want to immediately attack the final point. Remember, using Lucio's speed boost and all kinds of stuff, you want to get into the point as fast as possible. Go straight through the middle. Look at this, go straight in, just get involved in a fight. Once you're in, you've kind of done your job. The other way though you can attack, if this is not working and you've gone frontal assault after frontal assault after frontal assault, is maybe you want to go to the left. So if you take this attack approach, again, this all centers around the whole team coming together. You always want to stay together, guys, as a team in attack, and you always want to stay together as a team and defend. It kind of, you know, it makes sense. Strength in numbers. You get to this position here, you've got them at the side. I mean, I've got my ulti. I could do a crazy ulti there, maybe get some people. We're on to the point. You can flank around to the right-hand side, but remember, if you are the guy doing that, if you're a Genji, if you're somebody like that who wants to get around to the side, do it as your team attack. Always attack at the same time. Don't go in on your own, because the defenders will be standing together, and they will absolutely make a mess of you. All right, guys, let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Temple of King's Row. No, welcome to... Temple of King's Row. Welcome to King's Row. Alright, what do we want to do here on the attack? Well, we want to move forward here. We want to deploy our shield here in case they try and chuck some sort of cheeky fire strike at us or something like that. I don't know. What we want to do here, though, is not get stuck in the choke. Never hesitate, like I said in the previous map little section. Never, never hesitate. When you get to this point here, you want to deploy your shield, and you want to keep moving around the statue. The reason for this is this gives you protection. You can drop your shield here, maybe get a bit of recharge, but what you want to do is don't stop, don't hesitate, keep moving in, keep moving in. Your team needs to be following you at this point, and you're engaging onto the enemy. Now, this is the critical point. This is where you need to kill the enemy. Your team need to destroy the enemy Reinhardt barrier before they destroy yours. That's if they've even got a Reinhardt. If they don't, then just keep pushing in, and then engage the enemy on this point. Do as much damage as you can. If it doesn't work, it doesn't matter. If you die, it doesn't matter. You're so close to the spawn, you can just reset and then you can try again. And just keep doing it. Just keep trying, just keep trying. It's very simple. Such a simple push. Always push around the side of the statue. Now, do remember, in these guide videos, I'm not showing you absolutely every single way to attack, because there are different types of compositions. There are like dive compositions where you could use like a Winston and a Diva, or a Winston and a Zarya or something, and just like dive over the wall there and just sort of jump onto the point. I'm not showing you that. I'm showing you the standard pushes here, mainly with Reinhardt. So let's say we've captured that point. What do we want to do here? Well, in the streets phase, we just kind of want to move through this, you know, just sort of standard play. There's nothing really too fancy here. Try to avoid going around the sides. Keep your eyes on what's going on over there. Just keep pushing around. Push, push, push. It's pretty simple, this point. You just want to fight through it. A lot of the time, teams will manage to get through this point, so I wouldn't really worry too much about it. This is where it gets interesting, though. Once we take this choke here, well, take this checkpoint, we have to fight for this choke, and this is very difficult. What you want to do here, again, is just slow push around the corner. As you come around the corner, you want to start engaging the enemy team. Stay together as a team. Try to avoid splitting up and all of that stuff. Again, use Lucio's speed boost is like the best engagement ability in the game, because you can throw your team rapid into the enemy team and then start engaging them. And pretty much, guys, that's all there is to it, to this map. The first point is what I really wanted to stress. Use the statue and push around the statue. Don't try and run straight into the enemy team over and over again. That statue's there for a reason, so make sure you use it. Alright, guys, that is King's Row. Let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Hanamura. Okay, what are we going to do on the Hanamura attack? Well, what we're going to do is, well, there's only really one thing we can do. We're going to move around here. We're going to be aware of any kind of enemy Reinhardt fire strike coming in here, so just sort of delay a little bit, or if you do see it, make sure it misses, because you don't want them building ultimate charge. Then we move around into this position here. Now, what has been happening a lot here on this map is Mei is being used a hell of a lot. Now, you need to be aware of this, because if you go in as Reinhardt, remember what I said, don't hesitate, go in. Don't, like, stand here, because this would be a stupid plan and they're just going to destroy you as you're standing there. Lucio speed boost, all of that stuff. In you go. But as you get to here, if there's a Mei, she's going to wall you in. And then you're on your own, and then you're dead. So what you got to do is be clever. Make it look as if you're going to go in. Bait it out of her and be like, ah, go in. She drops a wall. As soon as the wall is up, just wait, because then you know it's on cooldown. After it drops, then you can move in. What you want to do here, though, is, I mean, you've got two options, really. At least these are the two things that I prefer to do on this map. You want to move into the right-hand side. That is the place I would always want to push in. So as you get here, you want to move around here. The enemy defense is going to be right on top of you here, though, so it's going to be a massive brawl. If you can get into this position here, you can sort of protect your team if they all rush in behind you, you know, start doing damage and things like that. Then you move out into this position here and then sort of start engaging them to the side, because you've ruffled their defense here. It is difficult to break this, though. There's also the option of going upstairs as well. Problem with this is some of your team might get picked off as you're actually trying to move up here. If you do manage to get up here, though, it's actually kind of a nice position to be in. Now, the other place that I like to attack from is not the left, actually. It's straight through the middle. It's just going straight onto the point. It's getting straight into here, using your shield, engaging the enemy team, straight up fight. Let's go, boys. Let's go. But keep moving. Don't stand still. Always keep moving. Get onto the point. Fight them on the point. That's pretty much what I like to do on Hanamura. It is very difficult to break this choke, and with Mei being used quite a lot, try and bait out the wall off Mei. If you manage to bait it out, then it's go time. The attack on this map. There are two things you can do here. If you beat them really quick, or you manage to take out some of their team, or you manage to delay some kills, so maybe you kill 4 of them, but 2 of them are still alive for quite a while you're capturing the point, and then you kill them. That means that only 4 of them are going to respawn by the time that, well, they'll only be 4 back by the time you get to this point, and the others will generally just be spawning as you hit it. So what you want to do in that case is rush straight into the middle, go straight in, fight them on the choke. However, if that's not the case, which most of the time it isn't the case, you want to attack from the top right. What you want to do is come down this way, go up these steps, keep going, and then you want to start moving into this position here. Now, this is going to depend on what ultimates you've got available, but if you can take the high ground, then this is going to be awesome. Now, in my defense video, I did say defend here in this position, so it's going to be difficult to break this on the attack. If you manage to break it, though, with good ultimate use, maybe a Reinhardt Earthshatter, a good Graviton Surge, maybe you go in with a Lucio Barrier or something, or use a Diva and knock them off. There's loads of different things you can do. But if the enemy team isn't holding this defensive position, and you can get your whole attacking team up here, you've pretty much won, because you've got the high ground here. You can fire on every single position. You can also move down to the low ground. If they are up here and you fight them and you take them out, well, then you've also won as well. This is the best position to attack on Hanamura. I would always go for a top right attack. And of course, you can drop down onto the point and then start capturing it and all of that good stuff. Alright guys, let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Gibraltar, ladies and gentlemen. So what you want to do here is, actually the payload's not in the right position because I've sort of moved it forward while I was messing around on the map. But what you want to do here is move straight down to the payload. I mean, it will start there, but whatever. And then you want to just stick your barrier up and move forward. The enemy team will probably be over there. Don't worry about that so much. Your DPS, your other characters can try and take them on. But just keep the payload moving. You need to get it through this choke point on the bottom here. Once the payload is all the way down here and it gets over to sort of around this area here, you're still going to want to push underneath because you need to move the payload. Now, you want to move into this position here and hope that you manage to take out the enemy team. If they're on the low ground, then that's going to work into your favor. If they're not, and they're taking high ground positions around here, and they're raining fire onto you, it could be difficult. If they kill you, this is what you want to do. You do not want to push down. Oh god, don't follow the map. You do not want to push down through that low ground again because that's going to cause you problems. They're waiting for you this time. They're going to do loads of damage as you come around the choke. What you want to do is move this way. When you get into this position here, you want to maybe look at sticking up your barrier if you're playing Reinhardt. Go into this room. This is called server room. From here, you've got a great view across the point. You can do damage to them. Your team can work on them. That's fantastic. And remember, all of these tactics do center around the team sort of playing together. Unless you've got like a Genji or somebody who maybe could like run around the side over there. But most of your team goes here. Now from here, you can push down into the point. Or you can go and take the high ground, which can actually work. Oh god, 60 seconds remaining. Which can actually work quite well. If you grab this high ground here, you can start knocking them off the high ground, doing damage to them, and all of that good stuff. Alright then, let's move on to the next point. Okay, so you have now got the checkpoint activated and you're going to move forward into this area. This is difficult because the enemy could be standing up there. The enemy could be standing over there on that high ground, maybe over there. You've just got to push through this as best as you can. Keep the payload moving, keep it coming, keep that payload rolling, get round to this corner here, and then you just want to straight up try and engage the enemy. It is going to be brutal, this. You need to try and push them, destroy them, push fast onto them. However, if this is not working, you can try and take this route and try and grab the high ground. Problem with this is they're probably going to be up here and they can fire at you from a lot of different positions. If you're up here, I wouldn't stay here and try and attack. I'd try and move through the shuttle, potentially grab this sort of area here, because once you're here, you can maybe drop down, give it a bit of hammer down, I don't know, do some sort of work on them there. But it is critical that you keep the payload moving at this point. So once you get through this point here, this is where it becomes quite difficult because this is very easy for the defenders to hold. They will be there. If you watch the defensive video, it will show you that basically you want to stand around that corner there. You want the attackers to come around here. And as soon as the attackers get here, then you want to destroy them. Now, if you're on the attack, you need to sort of use this to your advantage if you can. The payload will be with you, so use the payload to block damage as it comes through. Get somebody on the high ground over here, because from that high ground, they can fire down onto the enemy team. You want flankers to be going around to the left. If you've got a Winston, he needs to be jumping over. If you've got like a Genji or Pharah or something like that, they've got to keep going. But then you've got to just keep moving forward. You've got to grind your way through the defense. You've got to get picks, kill the enemy team, push forward, push forward, push forward. Now, what is different with this map, when you get to the end here, you need to keep the enemy in their spawns. A lot of games can be stalled for quite a long time if the payload is sort of not at the final destination. But the enemy are respawning. So what you need to do is, if you take them out, is don't worry too much about the payload, because if you're standing here blocking them into their spawn, there's no way they can get to the payload. Also be aware that they can spawn over there as well. So kind of like spread your attention to make sure you keep it under control. That's pretty much Watchpoint Gibraltar, guys. Alright, let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Numbani. Alright, what we're going to do in Numbani is push forward. Now, there probably won't be defenders hanging around in this area here. Sometimes there will be though, so just be aware of that, you know, play defensively. There could be somebody standing over there, so, you know, keep an eye on that if they try and, I don't know, put damage on you as you move forward. What you want to do though is use this attack path first. This is sort of the main attack path on Numbani. You move around to this position and you get here. Now what you want to do is deploy your barrier as Reinhardt and move forward like this. Now do remember, guys, you might not have a Reinhardt. I'm not saying you need a Reinhardt for all of these attack sort of tutorials. I'm just showing Reinhardt because it's easier to sort of show in like a defensive sort of way. You want to move forward through here. You want to knock the enemy off this position here. If you get them knocked off here and you control this high ground, well, then you can drop down onto the point. You can put fire over there. You can do a lot of stuff. If you control this area, then you sort of win this point. That's what this whole point is about. Defense need to hold this area, attack need to take this area. Once you've got it, then you should be able to drop down onto the point and start doing some work. However, if this is not working, don't be afraid of changing it up. I've seen a lot of teams that just keep bashing their head against the door, and it's not going to work if it's just not going to work. Sometimes you do need to do something different. Go this way. This is below. This will take you onto the point, avoiding them from above. Now, if they are above, this means that you can get onto the point here, and then you can start capturing it, which is obviously great, and then you can start working on them, and they're going to have to jump down and attack you. A lot of the time, they will panic, and they will come down and start attacking you, because, well, they don't want you to capture the point, and they have to contest it. So that is a good plan if the first attack path doesn't work. Anyway, we're going to leave the payload there, because we don't need to move the payload for the sake of this. We want to move around this area here. Again, like, there's not really that much of a attack strategy to this thing. You just move through the middle, just try and do as best as you can. Again, just keep moving through. It's all good, it's all fine. Get the payload to here, it's great. Now, this is where the defense are going to put up a pretty solid final hold. Now, what you need to do is move around this corner here, engage them, start doing damage to them, get your fire strikes off if you're Reinhardt, blah, blah, blah. You just want to take them on. Again, there's not really that much to this, just take them on. If you do have a Winston, if you do have a Diva, if you've got any kind of flanker, then they can potentially go this way and attack their backline. But remember, always do this together. Always together. Don't go around on your own. Don't think, oh, right, I'm just going to flank on my own, go around the back, because you'll die, and then it'll be a 5v6, and you won't win. That's pretty much Numbani, guys. It's a pretty simple map. All right, guys, let's move on to the next one. Welcome to Volskaya Industries. Okie dokie. What we're going to do here is we're just going to move forward through the little building with the, like, nice Omnic war thing on the wall. Anyway, we keep moving through the building. It's fine. We're going to stick up our barrier. We're going to move forward. They're going to be attacking us now. We're going to be taking damage. But what we want to do is don't hesitate. Just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward. We want to go to the left. Now, you've got two options here. You can either go this way. So if you're Reinhardt, you just want to sort of block this up. Notice that, your barrier very conveniently blocks this. Your whole team wants to go to the left right now, and then you follow in. Or, which I kind of like doing more, to be honest, is you just keep moving forward here. And then you start fighting them. The defenders are probably going to be around here. They might be down here as well. But once you're in this position here and your team's moved in, well, then you're causing them problems. And then, of course, you can move around here and then start attacking the point. Be aware of people standing on that position over there as well. But that's pretty much the way I like to attack this map. Now, remember, with, like, Mei, she's been used quite a lot now. Just like on Hanamura, she might try to wall you off. Try and bait the wall out before you do that. The other way you can attack is to the right. I don't really like doing this because you sort of get caught in a little choke, and it's difficult. You can get smashed up in this room. Taking this high ground here is maybe not the greatest sort of attack as well because it's a pretty long route and you're kind of dropping down. I would stick to going to a left push or doing, as I say, my favorite push where you sort of push through like this. And you just keep going. You basically just keep going. You just keep moving through. And then you get down onto the point. Alright, let's move on to the second and final point. Okay, this is very difficult to attack because you need to move straight in through the middle. There is nothing else you can do here. You have to just move in and engage them. This is where your team needs to get clever, though. You need flankers. You need people going around that way. You need people going around this way. You have to mess up the enemy team. You need maybe a Winston to dive onto them as you attack. You have to try and disrupt them because they have got such a strong defensive position here. You will always, almost certainly be attacking through the middle. So this is going to become a game of ultimates. Who will use their ultimates the best? Whose ultimates are available? Can you combo ultimates together? That's all there is to this point. You just have to move in and fight them, ladies and gentlemen. All right, guys, let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Hollywood. Okay, do not go out of the right-hand side door because there will be a fire strike coming for you or something like that. Unless you're Zarya and you want to charge up off it, then yeah. Leave through the left door. Work your way up to the first choke. I very much doubt anybody will be defending in this position here. If they are, just engage them. It doesn't really matter. It's to your advantage because, well, you're so close to your spawn. Now, this is where it gets interesting because there are three things you can do here on Hollywood. The first thing, well, there's one thing you should never do. Never push through the security room. That is a suicidal idea. First thing you can do is this. You move round towards the choke, through the choke, straight onto the point, and you attack them, and you hopefully kill them and take the point. If that doesn't work, the next thing you do is you can try this. You can go up to the high ground. This is actually probably one of my favorite ways to attack because if you get up here, you can sort of, well, you've got high ground. High ground is always an advantage, and you can work on the point from here. Attack them over there on top of the cafe. Loads of damage to them all over the place. If they try and come behind, you've got them in a small choke. You can damage them, and it's wonderful. The other way you can attack here is you go down around the rear of the building. Now, this way, I don't really like this too much because you have to run all the way around the back. They're going to know that you're going to come this way. They're going to get ready, and they're going to start engaging you as you get around the corner. So what I would do is look at trying the straight up simple attack to begin with, moving straight in around the choke. Remember, always use Lucio's speed boost to engage. Lucio's speed boost, you go in, yeah, and you just do damage, and hopefully you manage to take them out. If you don't, then maybe try the high ground. Alright, let's move on to the next point. Okay, so moving on to the next sort of area of the map. This is the Wild West area, and this is very difficult because the enemy team will probably take the high ground on top of the general store. What you can do, though, if you're feeling jazzy, is you can try and take that high ground. So you can, come on, lift, yes, you can try and get up here onto the high ground and fight them and take them off the high ground and then move down and keep the payload going, and then, like, basically you'll control this area. There's so much verticality in this section of the map. Whoever controls the high ground generally will win. However, sometimes the defenders won't take the high ground. In that case, you just kind of want to push through where the payload is going to go. You don't really need to go around the back or do anything like that. Just keep a steady push going. Your flankers, your Genjis, your Pharahs, people like that, they can do what they like and use the verticality, jump all over the place. Your Winstons can do the same, but you want to keep the payload moving. So that's all you really need to do, to be honest. Just keep moving, keep tabs on where people are. If they're on the high ground, try and push them off, and then just sort of move through. It's a very nice, it's sort of like an equal attack and defender sort of map. This is, it's not well, not map as a whole, but this area of the map, it's not super biased in one way or the other. So we get the payload activated and we come through at this point here. What we want to do here is, again, just push the payload. You don't really need to worry too much about moving up to the high ground over there and trying to attack that way. Just keep moving slow and steady. Keep the payload going. Keep going. Go payload. Keep moving forward. Now, once you're here, you need to be aware of some things the defenders could be doing. There could be somebody up there. If there are people up there, then obviously be aware of that. People here to the right, you generally won't see that. People may try and sneak out to the left and try and attack you. Essentially, what you want to do is just push forward into this area. It's such a tight little choke, it kind of comes down to ultimate use again. Who's going to use their ultimates better? Who's going to be able to chain ultimates together, gravitons and maybe pulse bombs and things like that? That's what this comes down to, but it's pretty much a straight up attack. You just need to go in there and try and take out the enemy team. Alright guys, let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Route 66. Okay, so we're just going to move forward. There probably won't be defenders in this area. If there are, then just kill them, because you're so close to your spawn and you'll just sort of, you know, respawn faster than they will, and it's all good. What we want to do here, though, is just keep the payload going. Keep it going till it gets to the corner. You know, I'm going to leave the payload, but right, at this corner here, this is where it's going to get real. They'll be on top of big Earls. If they're not, they'll be around this area somewhere. You're going to take a lot of damage. You just need to keep pushing forward, pushing forward, pushing forward. This is where it does actually make sense to use somebody like a Winston or a Diva to push them off the top of big Earls, to dive on them and do damage. But your main priority here is to keep the payload moving. Just keep pushing it forward, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. You can come out of the top tunnel if you like, or maybe the bottom tunnel, but you just need to keep the payload going. Just be aware of where they are. You know they're going to be on the top. You know you're going to have to do damage to them. You need to use tactics that will remove them from big Earls. That means jumping on them with Winston, jumping on them with Diva, firing damage at them, knocking them off with Pharah, anything like that. But just keep the payload moving. All right, let's move on to the next point, because this point is kind of simple, to be honest. It is in the defender's favour by quite a bit, so if you do manage to break this, then you're doing a great job. So this door will open, and behind this door, we've got this, and yeah, there'll be defenders over here. Definitely on the high ground and all around in this position. What we're going to have to do here is just keep fighting through. Keep pushing through. Keep it moving. You can try and take some of the high ground, but just always keep the payload moving. This is like the golden rule on any hybrid or payload map. When you've got, or escort map, sorry. When you've got the payload activated, keep it moving. Never stop. Keep that thing moving. Alright, let's move throughout this area then and move into the final point, because there's not that much in the way of crazy tactics. It's just a straight up fight. You just need your guys to kill their guys, and you'll get through this area. This point, however, is a little bit different, because this is the final point, and it's a very good choke for the defenders to hold. And as I've said on a couple of other maps previously, this will come down to ultimate use a lot of the time. If you can chain your ultimates together, if you can take them out, you're probably going to have a good time. Now, you need to just push forward straight through the middle. You're going to take damage from over there. You're going to take damage from absolutely everywhere. They could be up here. It's going to be a meat grinder. You need to push through. Remember, use Lucio's speed boost to engage as well. If you've got a Zarya and she wants to use her ultimate, why not speed boost her into the fight? She can Graviton Surge the whole team, point blank, and then have maybe Hanzo follow up and take them out. That's kind of what you need to do here. There are little bits where you can get around the side. I mean, if you are playing a I've actually seen McCree do this quite well. Like, if McCree's got high noon, he can just suddenly pop out here, high noon. Maybe he can get it off before they detect him. Your Tracers, your Genjis can get in this way into the back line of the enemy defenders while your main team are sort of pushing through the middle there. So, remember, that's always an option. But this is the defenders have kind of got the advantage here. And in my opinion, and in my experience, most of these games do come down to who uses their ultimates the better. Alright, guys, let's move on to the next map. Welcome to Dorado. Okay, what we're going to do on Dorado is keep the payload moving because that's what we want to do. Although I'm just going to sort of get out of the way of the payload. Alright, so you're going to move around into this position. There probably will be defenders up there that are going to start attacking you. Again, just keep pushing forward, keep pushing forward. Do remember though, you can, in fact I'll show you this, you can flank around the side. I'm not sure, I mean, I'd imagine most people know about this right now, but that is a flank. You can get over there with Genji, with Hanzo, with D.Va, with Winston. It's always a good option to think about sending somebody around there. So, when we get around to this position here, what we want to do is we need to engage the enemy here. This is probably where most of their defense is going to take place in this choke. We need to get through this choke. What makes this much easier to get through is if, like I just said, somebody is flanking around the right-hand side. Because if they jump in, the enemy are going to be like, oh god, what's happening? Somebody's in the back. And it's going to cause loads of issues. So you just keep pushing, you keep pushing, you keep pushing. And you basically just keep going, right? Through this point, you just keep going, you keep going. I would ignore trying to attack anywhere over there or, you know, going in that direction. Just go straight through the choke. Try and utilize this flank. Okay, let's move on to the next point. So, we've managed to open this door. The payload is here. What is going to happen here? Well, there could be defenders there. We're going to need to just keep pushing the payload around here. There are a couple of things we can do here, though. There are flank routes this way. I would recommend somebody at least tries to go around this way to try and disrupt some of the enemy defense. You can maybe take the lower route if there's defenders set up over here and engage them, or you could take the higher route, which is accessed this way, go around over there and then try and disrupt them, maybe knock them off the high ground. There's actually as well a little thing I want to show you guys, which I don't think a lot of people actually know about. You can get onto the high ground this way. It's kind of a cheesy way of doing it, but you can totally do this. So if you jump over here, look at this. You can run, you can run, you can run. You can get around the high ground there. I actually fell off, but you can jump from there onto there and take that high ground. So let's say you're pushing the payload and you keep moving it around this way. You keep going, you keep going. They're going to be up there. They're going to be taking, you're going to be taking a lot of damage. You've just got to keep this going. You've just got to try and force them to come down and engage you. And hopefully you kill them. Just push through this point. Alright, so let's move forward to the next choke point. Once you get through into this area, again, it's a straight up fight. You just need to move through. Now you've got one option in my eyes here, and you should always do this when you attack. You should take this route. You should take the right. Take the right-hand side. Take the high ground. Try and force them off. You're going to go up here. You're going to come round here. You're going to move in here. And then you're going to take them on. If you can take them off this high ground there, you're going to have control of this area. And the payload will easily keep moving forward. This is critical. The entire defense of this location depends on this point. Whoever controls this will generally win the point. Alright guys, let's move on to the final map. Let's move on to Eichenwalde. Welcome to Eichenwalde! Now this is probably going to be the most complicated section of the entire video. Apart from the first point here, because, well, what are you going to do when you attack? Well, you're just going to walk through the choke. You can send somebody over the top, so you could send, you know, anybody you can flank over the top. You can actually get over this building as well, with certain heroes and stuff, so that's another option. There is a crazy long flank around the right-hand side, which I think I've showed this in some other videos before. I'm not too sure of how useful this is, but Lucio can wall ride all the way around there, and yeah, great. But what we're going to do is we're going to move through this choke. Now, there probably will be a May. So you know what that means? We've got to bait the wall. So we've got to pretend we're going forward, drop back. As soon as May ice walls this and it drops, then you want to move in. And you just want to move in. You just want to go straight in and fight them. I mean, you can go to the left and then sort of move into the point that way. Or, you know, you can go the right. But it's kind of interesting to me because I thought this right-hand flank would be used quite a lot. But it's actually not really used at all. Most fights are just basically straight-up fights here on this map. You just move straight in, you fight the enemy, and you kill them. That is pretty much it. It's just all about getting through that choke point, and that depends on you either destroying the enemy Reinhardt's barrier or baiting out the May wall, because there probably will be a May on this map because she can just totally block the entrance there, and then moving in, or maybe getting a fast kill on the enemy team, or a pick as that's known, and then just moving in and killing them. So we've got the payload activated and it's going to move forward. What are we going to do? Now there are a couple of options here. This is where this map gets totally ridiculous. You can either just go straight through the middle so we can move over there, which probably isn't the best idea because they're going to be defenders all over the place here and they're going to rain down death from above. What I do like to do is move to the right-hand side. I mean, you have to be aware you need to move the payload. But what I'm talking about here is trying to dislodge the defenders. So if you can move around to the right-hand side and then move on this path and then take the high ground from them, you're in a very strong position. Because if you control this high ground, well, then you control the defensive position and you're on attack. So that's awesome. So let's say you're moving the payload and you get past this position here and you're sort of moving up to this area. Now, this is where it becomes quite open and you're going to take a lot of damage. You can see where the enemy is going to come from. They're going to come from there and they're going to come from over there. Now, you're just going to need to keep moving forward here. If some of them do rush out quick and try and take this high ground and attack you from behind, you just kind of got to be aware of that. You're very open. You're very exposed. You can be knocked off here by Lucio, by Pharah, by D.Va, by even Zarya can knock people off. You've got to be very, very aware of that, and you just need to keep the payload moving. There are a lot of flank positions on this map, though. I'm just going to show you some quickly. You can access both sides of the map, or well, on this point, actually, from underground. So you can see that I'm here. So from here, I could actually go down here if I wanted to, and then go straight across to the other side, which then brings me out over here. So you can see how crazy powerful that is. I mean, you can quickly move around the map. Also, you can jump down here if you want to. And again, this brings you to that position where I just charge through and then brings you around into this area here. So honestly, that's pretty much it. You just need to keep the payload moving like you always have to, but just be aware of defenders standing on the high ground. If you can rush them by moving to the right, that is a good idea. Okay, so this checkpoint here, the door will get, well, it won't open, it will get smashed down. And you need to just push through. This is where it becomes a massive meat grinder. And again, this is going to depend on whose ultimates are available. You're just going to straight up fight them here. You're going to try and get them with Graviton Surges, Earth Shatters, which I'm about to have, like, try and take them out. Maybe there's a May ultimate. If they've got a May on their team, this May ultimate basically controls the whole area and it's really powerful. And you just need to try and push in and kill them. And that's pretty much all you can do here. This is probably one of the most difficult chokes in the game to break. You can go around the side, so there is a flank position here. Problem with this, oh god, problem with this is they will see you. So defenders will see anybody in this position that I'm in now moving around here, so they know that you're about to attack them from the rear. So they'll probably be aware and they'll probably be able to deflect this attack. Still, it is kind of worth sending somebody around because maybe they won't pick up on that person moving around. Maybe you can get into a position and do some work. Alright guys, that has been how to attack. Now this has been, it's not the definitive guide, it is the guide of basic attack paths, and a lot of it centers around using Reinhardt to push forward. There are loads of different team compositions you can do. What I want to end this video on is just saying this, guys. Always attack as a team. The same goes for defending. Always defend as a team, and you can't really go wrong. And don't hesitate. Do not get stuck in choke points. Try and move through. Alright guys, I've been Stylosa. This is Unit Lost. You can follow me on Twitter, which is @UnitLostGaming. And I best go because I've got 10 seconds remaining, and I'll catch you next time, guys. Toodaloo.